From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Jason White. The Hudson's Bay name and iconic stripes are being sold to Canadian Tire in a $30 million deal. The sale of Bay intellectual property includes the overarching Hudson's Bay brand, its multicolored stripes motif, and other brand trademarks. The sale still needs court approval. Hudson's Bay put its assets up for sale after filing for creditor protection in March, saying it was having significant trouble paying its bills. More homes have been evacuated in eastern Manitoba because of wildfires. Lac du Bonnet, northeast of Winnipeg, has been hardest hit, with a state of emergency ordered for a nearby provincial park. Paul Kachansky owns a cabin in the community.
Just the clouds that were billowing everywhere from the smoke and the water bombers coming over the treetops in coordinated fashion, dropping water was something I never forget.
2 people have died in the fires. U.S. President Donald Trump's tariffs have cast a pall over Ontario's budget, dragging down GDP growth and knocking the province off its path to balance, with a $14.6 billion deficit projected this year.
Finance Minister Peter Bethlenfalvy says now is the time to invest in infrastructure and job creation in Ontario so the province can come out stronger on the other side.
We're trying to fortify and immunize Ontario as best possible.
The budget is now forecasting balance in 2027-28 instead of next year and is expected to have a $14.6 billion deficit this year. It contains a lot of spending to stimulate the economy in the face of tariffs, including a $5 billion fund to give businesses relief and a $500 million critical minerals processing fund. Allison Jones, The Canadian Press, Toronto.
A new U.S. drug threat assessment points to so-called fentanyl super laboratories in Canada. The annual report from the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration acknowledges the estimated volume of fentanyl from Canada is much lower than that from Mexico. Last year's threat assessment contained 0 mentions of Canada, but this year's document says the Canadian operations have potential to expand. U.S. President Donald Trump has used fentanyl trafficking to justify his tariffs on Canadian goods. And Trump's tariffs are throwing a wrench into Atlantic Canada's spring lobster season. The Coldwater Lobster Association's Bernie Berry says lobster harvesters are not thrilled with the prices they're getting for their catches.
I think the big thing right now is the confusion around tariffs, whether they're on or they're off, and the residual effects it's causing.
Last month, live lobsters at the wharf were fetching $15 a pound. That price dropped to $8 along Nova Scotia's Atlantic shore, as low as $6.50 in the Gulf of St. Lawrence. This is the Canadian Press. In sports, the Winnipeg Jets try to keep their season alive tonight as they host the Dallas Stars in Game 5 of their NHL second-round series. Meantime, the Toronto Maple Leafs head to Florida with their season hanging in the balance after last night's disastrous 6-1 home defeat. Leafs head coach Craig Berube says it's important his team turns the page facing elimination.
A loss is a loss. If we would have lost 2-1 and it was a close game, would it really matter today? We got beat. I've been in this situation before. A loss is a loss.
Toronto trails the second-round playoff series 3-2 to the Florida Panthers. Canadian star Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the Oklahoma City Thunder look to punch their ticket to the NBA Western Conference Final when they visit Denver tonight. And Halifax will host a Davis Cup World Group 1 tie between Canada and Israel in September. The matchup at Scotiabank Centre will decide which nation moves on to the 2026 Davis Cup qualifiers. From the Canadian Press, I'm Jason White.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.